I hate to say it, but it looks like the misery is going to continue for Stanford. It looked like Troy Taylor was going to be a good hire. It was going to take him time to rebuild the Stanford football program, but it looked like he was slowly getting there. Then the scandal broke out, got fired in March, and everything came crumbling back down for the Cardinal. They're now going to be led by interim head coach Frank Reich, former head coach of the Indianapolis Colts and Carolina Panthers, and he's there thanks to Andrew Luck, the new GM of Stanford football, who's going to do everything in his power to return this program to the glory days that he helped lead them to back in the late 2000s. But this is a program that's in desperate need of a revival, a desperate need of an overhaul. We knew that a few years ago. Still the same case now. And with an interim head coach and not a lot of talent, Stanford's in for a rough season in 2025. Just look at what it's been these last few years. The Cardinals have had 4 straight 3-9 seasons. 4 straight 3-9 seasons. Remember when they were competing for BCS bowl games and they were in the Rose Bowl back in 2015? Christian McCaffrey days, things like that. They completely had that really quick fall from grace. But one thing you should give credit to Stanford for is the fact that they have pulled off some upsets over these last few years. 7 of their 12 wins in the last 4 seasons have come as 8.5-point underdogs or more. 8.5-point dogs or larger have been their wins, 7 of the 12 games. Last year, they upset Syracuse as an 8.5-point dog, beat them 26-24 on the road. They also upset Louisville as a 21-point underdog, beating the Cardinals 38-35. And then last year, they were more competitive than their record would show. They had 3 losses by 3 points and lost the opener to TCU by just 7. So Stanford was better than people realized, but will that translate to success now in 2025? The offense only averaged 22.8 points per game, only 191 passing yards per game. Their quarterback that helped contribute to a lot of those stats, Ashton Daniels, is now gone. They're now going to be led by redshirt freshman Elijah Brown. At least more than likely it's going to be Elijah Brown, the guy that certainly shows the most promise. He attempted just 48 pass attempts last year, 274 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. So still a lot of room to grow. But obviously still a lot of potential there as well. Micah Ford and Cole Tabb both return at running back, but the two combined for less than 600 yards and did not score a single touchdown between the two. They lose their top 2 pass catchers from last year, but do add C.J. Williams from Wisconsin, and their tight end, Sam Roush, third on the team in yards with 334, do return. And they now lose 3 on the offensive line after giving up 39 sacks in 2024. The offense appears to be struggling once again entering 2025. Not a team that you expect to drop too many points. Again, only 22.8 just last year. The defense has some promise, right? The defense has 8 starters back. That includes 8 of their top 11 tacklers, but they allowed 33.7 points per game last year, over 414 yards per game, and the secondary was one of the worst in the nation, giving up 281 passing yards per game. So all of it has to improve for Stanford. They do have pretty much the entire secondary back, though. 4 starters back, led by their interception leader, their shutdown corner, Colin Wright. Mitch Leigberg returns, and their number 2 tackler from last year, Scotty Edwards, also returns. Tevarua Tafiti returns at linebacker, had 3.5 sacks last year, and the defensive line has some talent there. Anthony Franklin, Ernest Cooper. So I honestly think, despite how bad the secondary was last year, that could be the most improved unit on the team, maybe even a strength of the defense if they can stay healthy and show significant improvement. But the front 7 does have some questions. Again, I like Tafiti at linebacker, but the defensive line still somewhat unproven. So again, a rough year for the Cardinal on deck. The schedule, of course, does them no favors, especially pretty much from October 11th onwards when they have to play SMU, Florida State, Miami in 3 consecutive weeks. And then, of course, they end the year with Notre Dame. But we'll start at the top. Let's just go through it. At Hawaii in week 0. At Hawaii in week 0. They are 4-0 against the Rainbow Warriors. They actually won 37-24 back in 2023, season opener, in Hawaii. I'm almost certain I picked Hawaii in that game. Got burned in that. I think it was Troy Taylor's first year. I really wasn't expecting much out of Stanford. It was a team that had a lot of questions. Maybe a similar spot to they were in now. Thought Hawaii was in a better spot. Home field advantage. I picked the Rainbow Warriors, and I was pleasantly surprised by Stanford. So I'm not going to make the same mistake again now. Maybe Hawaii does pull off the win, but I'm going to pick Stanford to start the year 1-0. I underestimated them 2 years ago. I don't want to underestimate them now. Hawaii is certainly improving. Maybe could even flirt with a bowl game in 2025, but they did give up over 166 rushing yards per game last year. I'm not entirely sure if they can slow down this Stanford rushing attack And also now with a Stanford secondary that is looking to be improved against a Hawaii offense that wants to throw the football, I think maybe they can get a couple turnovers off of that. I think they maybe slow down the Hawaii passing attack, finding a way to win a fairly close game against an improving Hawaii team. They are 1-0. How about that? 1-0 for Stanford. Can they build on that? Short answer, let's just go ahead and do it. Hate to do it. No, they will lose out. And it's just cut to the chase. There's no need to spend 3 minutes on each game when I don't think that the Cardinals have much of a chance in them. They come out of a bye week after week 0. They go on the road to BYU, despite BYU losing Jake Retzlaff to that big scandal that's been going on. They're going to be just fine. LJ Martin returns at running back. They actually have a deep core of quarterbacks, so the backups that are coming in, whoever they decide to name starter will do just fine. You got LJ Martin. You've got your top pass catcher, Chase Roberts, returning. You've got 3 of your top 5 tacklers returning. Provo's not an easy place to play. BYU's going to win that. Then you get to host Boston College. That's a winnable game, sure. But the offense, to me, is more complete for the Eagles than it is for Stanford right now. They've got a more competent head coach, I think, in Bill O'Brien. Interesting. 2 former NFL coaches, Bill O'Brien and Frank Reich, facing off against each other. Whether it's Dylan Longerin, whether it's Grayson James, I think BC's got the quarterback edge there. They've got some productive wide receivers, 6 starters back on defense, 3 of their top 4 tacklers, and a very solid secondary. BC, despite having to go a long ways to play the Cardinal, should get this win, although I think it could be close. They go on the road to Virginia, and now they face Chandler Morris. Stanford, again, had one of the worst secondaries in the nation. I do think it improves. Does it improve enough to slow down Chandler Morris, who threw for over 3,700 yards last year with North Texas and now leads a solid Virginia offense that is arguably the best Virginia offense that Tony Elliott has fielded in his 4 years in Charlottesville? Gonna go with Virginia here, especially with them having home field advantage. They are 1-3. They then take on San Jose State, a winnable game, no doubt about it. These two campuses separated by 22 miles. Last year, though, San Jose State, the season finale, beat Stanford by 3 points, 34-31. One of those 3 losses that Stanford had by a field goal. In that game, the Stanford defense allowed 450 yards. 385 of those came through the air from the Spartans. The Spartans are now led by the same quarterback, Walker Eggett, who really came onto the scene late in the second half last year and has really high expectations from all of us entering 2025. San Jose State is a true contender for a Mountain West title in 2025, believe it or not. So a Spartans team that should be even better in year 2 under Ken Niumatalolo, with a lot of talent coming back, competent quarterback play, very underrated defense with 6 back. Give me the Spartans. They did it last year. They're going to do it now, and it's really not that much of a road game considering it's only 20 miles down the road. They come out of the bye week, 3 straight losses to SMU, Florida State, Miami. They simply don't stand a chance in any of those games. They go on the road to SMU, a playoff team last year. The Cardinal lost to them by 30 last season at home. They take on Florida State. Some would say this is winnable. I don't think so. The Seminoles loaded with transfers once again. I think this year's transfer class is better than last year's. At least it should be. It really can't be much worse after Florida State went 2-10. Better quarterback play with Thomas Castellanos, a stronger defense, better in the trenches after Florida State was horrendous on both last year. Seminoles get this win, and then on the road at Miami, no shot there. The Hurricanes' defensive line is ridiculous. Carson Beck and his offense going to get better with each passing week. They're not going to stand a chance there, especially on the road. And they take on Pittsburgh, the first time they've hosted Pittsburgh since 1922. Eli Holstein returns at quarterback, one of the better quarterbacks in the ACC. 8 starters are back on defense for the Panthers with a very strong front 7, one of the best linebacking cores in the nation, and a very strong defensive line. Going to wreak havoc against the Stanford offensive line that, again, was horrendous last year, and I expect to be slightly improved, but not enough against this good of a defense. And again, one of the more experienced quarterbacks in the conference. On the road at North Carolina, another battle between former NFL head coaches Frank Reich versus Bill Belichick. Colts and Patriots, some fun matchups in the past, but got to go with Belichick here. Just like he pretty much dominated the Colts during his time in the NFL, he's going to do so now with the Tar Heels. Gio Lopez comes in from South Alabama, competent quarterback play there, pretty strong offensive line, and we know Belichick knows how to coach up a defense, and North Carolina will have a much better defense than they've had recently under Mac Brown. A lot of underrated talent there. On the road at Chapel Hill, UNC gets the win. Coming out of the bye week, they take on California and Notre Dame, both those games at home. I think they lose both. California, certainly a winnable game. The Golden Bears should have probably lost last year. Stanford led 21-7 in the second half last year and ended up losing 24-21, so another loss by just a field goal. So California mounted a big comeback. I just think they're slightly more talented than Stanford. Maybe at this point in the year, a little bit more to play for California than that of Stanford. But the Golden Bears lose everything. It's going to be an ugly, ugly game. Underrated rivalry game, but not one that many people are going to watch. California gets the win. Stanford takes their 5th loss in a row in this series. And then naturally, no shot against Notre Dame. They lost 49-7 last year to the Fighting Irish, and you could argue it could be worse this year despite having the game out in California. So all that being said, 1-11 for the Cardinal in 2025. And maybe I'm underselling them, right? I've undersold them a little bit in recent years. I did it in year 1 under Troy Taylor. Certainly, I think I had them going 1-11 that year, and they pulled off a handful of upsets. If you're looking for a place they can find more wins, I think most logically would be Boston College, San Jose State, and California. To me, if you're looking for more wins, it'd be Boston College, San Jose State, and California. If they won all 3, they're 4-8. So let's be honest here. I think the range for Stanford is 0-12 to 4-8. That is probably the range of records for the Cardinal. They're not going to go bowling. I don't think they're going to be that competitive. This is a very young team that doesn't have a lot of talent, that is led with an interim coach that will not be there this time next year. This is just another gap year for a once proud program. And I do believe Andrew Luck is going to revive them. I think he's going to help this team get back to relevancy in their new conference. But it certainly will not be this year. One that maybe looked like a season where they could start taking that step forward. And then with everything that happened in March, it all came crumbling down. And I just don't think the mindset, the focus, the talent, the leadership, everything is there for Stanford to truly compete in 2025. 1-11 this year, maximum 4-8. But regardless, another losing season, possibly a 5th straight 3-9 season. Wouldn't that be something? But regardless, another rough year for the Cardinal. Better days are ahead, but it may just take a while. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com. Home to our expert picks, some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country, beating out over 80% of the national handicappers each of the last 6 years. You do not want to miss out on those, as well as our weekly newsletters, also over on thegridironexpert.com. The link for all of that down in the description below. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on The Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.